It's Wednesday, July 6th, 2022. Welcome back to BoomerRexTonight, your nearly daily source for news and politics. I'm RisenLadyHeathen. Hey, asshole. What separates our show from other Millennial news podcasts?
I don't know what.
We have a boomer and a Gen Zer, and not just any boomer and Gen Zer. We have Mr. BoomerRex himself, and my spawn, Sleet.
I'm lazy.
You two, older men here, eat, sleep, and breathe politics, and Sleet and I are still learning. That's 4 unique perspectives we share along with the facts from our literal round table. I finally got around to slightly editing the opening.
So we've got some really cool blimp pictures, as you can see.
For those of you on our Podbean, go to our YouTube. Asshole had fun with
The dolly or whatever it is.
yeah,
One of the things that makes AIs draw things.
picture generator
Yeah.
thing where
Text
it
to
paints, it paints a picture for you based on whatever you type in.
Yeah.
So we got some fun new
Oh
stuff.
shit, a watermelon airship.
Yep.
Um
Another one.
I like that one. That one looks dangerous.
all right, let's dig right into our headlines. You were eaten by what?
Let me guess, Florida.
We have found a new species of pitcher plant. Pitcher plants are the ones that have the mutated leaves that form a bucket, basically.
Yeah.
They
And you
split
slip
down
and
the
fall
side.
down inside and get digested, right? It's just wonderful. One species is so big it can trap rats. So anyway, typically the pitchers are much larger than the leaves and they have a reddish color. In the case of this new one, it has 4.5-inch long pitchers. And it's the only known species of pitcher plant where the pitcher grows underground.
Huh.
And they trap creatures that live underground,
Huh.
which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
And so they eat things like ants and mites and beetles and so forth. So anyway,
Intriguing.
I thought that was kind of cool. Here's a plant that's learned a different way of doing things.
Yeah.
It's really cool right up until they grow large enough for humans to be their next target.
Yeah. Well, I always figured the Venus flytrappy things were the ones that were going to get big.
Yeah, well,
What was his name?
Hmm?
Seymour.
Yes.
Like Seymour.
Well,
Cool.
Audrey, but
Was it Audrey?
plant's named Audrey. Oh, Audrey too, I think.
Oh, that's right. The owner was
Seymour is
Seymour.
the- yeah.
Oh,
Feed
okay.
me, Seymour.
Yes, got
From
it.
Little Shop of Horrors.
That was close.
Oh my God, she's never seen this.
We're getting
Risen. We're gonna make Risen watch this.
I haven't seen it either.
I have
I-
no interest. Okay,
Oh,
Russia
you would
having
enjoy it.
second thoughts about Trump.
So, Russian state TV host Olga Skabeva has in the past signaled that she really wanted to see former President Donald Trump back in the White House in 24, but she's apparently having second thoughts. So, about Sleet, you have to remember Trump was always heaping praise on Vladimir.
Any
and-
dictator you could find.
Yeah, anybody he could get on his knees for. So anyway, but apparently Trump was trying to get on the Ukraine bandwagon and said he would destroy the Russian Federation. So anyway, so now we have to think, they say, whether to reinstall him again as the American president. We haven't decided yet.
Yep. Accurate statement.
Yep, absolutely. Because you generally encouraged him, right, to run for president again and promised he would once again get help from the Russian government as he did in 2016. So again, that's their view of Trump, is that they installed him as president, and it's largely true. So, hey, way to go, America.
We hold the power of social media.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I mean, social media is at least partly working on tying with the internal combustion engine as my answer to is it the Fermi paradox? Yes.
Yeah. Why there are no other civilizations.
Yeah, they invent the internal combustion engine, social media, and die within 20 years.
Yeah. That's kind of a scruffy looking balloon there.
Yeah, I told it mossy.
That's a good one. I like that one.
All right. Russian lawmakers vote to recreate Hitler Youth.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Yep. So Russian lawmakers have approved legislation to start a patriotic youth movement in the manner of the Hitler Jugend.
We talked about it here. We've done it here previously, but
Yep. And Vladimir Putin will be asked to head the supervisory board, right?
Of course.
So anyway, nothing new about this. They're just bringing back the things that they were doing when they were the Soviet Union, except now they're Nazis. So, hey, just great.
Well, and again, the louder you yell Nazi at the other team, the more likely it is
You
that's
are
what
one.
you are.
Yep. But again, this will replace the little Octoberists, the young pioneers, and the Komsomol, which were the old versions of Hitler Youth that existed in the Soviet Union. So, anyway.
Exciting.
Yeah,
All right.
well, again, it's Putin trying to cement his legacy. And I'm beginning to agree. I think it seems like Putin may not believe he's going to be around much longer. So,
Let's
anyway.
hope not.
which makes all of this
I
make
don't
less
know who's
sense.
going to replace him. I'm going to be
Right?
completely honest. Whoever's replacing Putin is probably going to be worse.
Don't they technically have elections? In quotes.
Yep.
Who's
Yeah,
to
kind of
say
like
that-
we're going to after 2024.
Oh yeah, no. If this
Don't have to count the votes,
I
just
don't
announce
think
the
having
results. What's the
installed-
fucking problem?
The guy that picked Putin, we get to bang on too much about their shoddy elections. No, it makes, even if he really is dying of the various things he's supposedly dying of, wouldn't you have liberalized the living shit out of Russia? Right, gone full on laissez-faire capital. You would have flooded your country with growth. Everyone would have heralded you for the 5 years before the tumor popped your little brain.
That's kind of what he did. And again,
Yeah, but then
it was
this-
a kleptocracy,
Da-da.
but very open to Western investment and very interested in making investments in Europe where, you know, again, they called it Londongrad.
Yeah,
for a
but I'd have
reason.
played both sides against the middle.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't make any sense because it didn't work. First off,
Yeah. No, the thing to remember about Putin is he's an absolute authoritarian.
yeah,
Right. There was never any chance that Russia was going to open up.
yeah.
If they could buy their way into certain things, that was great. They did. They had 15 years of progress, and now it's all gone forever. So, anyway, they are now a third world country with the gross domestic
They
product.
always fucking were.
Yeah.
But they had a first world military for a lot of that, or at least kept the world believing they did.
Yeah, I think we've
This was
seen-
the stumbling out on stage drunk and shitting yourself that they didn't need. That means that the only reason not to topple Russia, recreationally, right, for just the oil reserves, and we shouldn't, but that
Oh, I
barely
don't
stops
know.
us,
Well,
is some of their nukes might work.
Yeah, and I'm starting to question that.
Keyword, might.
yeah. Well, out of sight, out of mind. And they take a lot of maintenance.
And
And the electronics that runs them is god unholy old.
All right, lock 'em up. Who are we locking up and what?
So, Georgia grand jury has subpoenaed Lindsey Graham and other members of Donald Trump's campaign legal team, like, let's see, who
They get
all
the
did
Kraken
they
lady?
get? Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman,
Ah.
Quetta Mitchell, Kenneth Chesbro, and Jenna Ellis. So, anyway,
the thing
What
about
can I
this
tell
is
ya?
every time I see these lawyers and like the various other crooks, right, previous administration adjacent, it's like the inverse of that movie Red about all the very competent old spies.
yeah.
These are like the least competent shitheads.
It walked into every wall that was possible.
These are the
to
kind of
walk
people I
into.
wouldn't coordinate shoplifting a chocolate bar with.
Anyway, they've been ordered to testify at a special grand jury investigation into the efforts to overturn the 2020 election.
I see that one of them's refusing, which may make it worse.
Well, Lindsey Graham is trying to claim that he has some kind of congressional immunity. He does not. So,
I want to know more about Lindsey Graham's. Anyway,
The court order says he was involved in coordination and execution of a plan to have 16 individuals meet from the state of Georgia and cast purported electoral college votes in favor of former President Donald Trump, even though none of those 16 individuals had been certified by Georgia. So, anyway.
All right.
Things are getting more and more exciting.
I say we cut out the middlemen, get rid of these quote-unquote electors, and just go with the numbers, man.
Yeah.
That's the only way to avoid this shit. Literally.
Well, it would end the Republican Party's dominance of either house.
Lindsey Graham should be used to embarrass the United States Air Force at every occasion.
Oh, yeah?
He's an
They
officer.
commission that asshole?
Yeah, he's a JAG shithead.
Jesus.
And there are
Christ.
definitely some interesting things to be discussed about that, but
Oh.
someone who's willing to do more research about the various things where people may or may not have been should talk
Falsely
about
prosecuted or let off the hook or...
held classes that no one may have attended.
Oh, cool.
It appears to be a very much champagne unit.
Oh, okay. Well, you figure it would be.
Huh. All right. Not on Trump's Xmas list anymore.
Yeah, kind of Kellyanne Conway fucked up.
She had to.
Yeah. So Trump continues to watch the House Select Committee, posts comments on his social action, adds people to the list of people he has to punish because they weren't loyal to him.
Having Eric check it twice.
Yeah.
Don't worry, folks. Eric can't read.
So anyway,
Not after the
Conway.
incident.
Just love me, Dad.
Yeah. So Conway says, despite Trump's rants about the January 6th attack, his team selling him out and losing the 2020 election, he's actually just sad and frustrated. Oh, shucks. It makes me feel so bad to think that Donald Trump is sad and frustrated.
I figured that made you feel good.
It does. That's
I love it.
sarcasm in its worst form.
Yeah.
All right.
I know.
DOJ sues Arizona over voting law.
Yep.
What has Arizona done?
So, I put this one in because Arizona did something that a lot of people, if they don't know anything, they say, wow, that sounds like a good idea. Arizona has a requirement that for certain elections, when you register to vote, you have to prove your citizenship.
Why the fuck do I have to do that? If I'm signed up to vote, doesn't that...
No. When you register to vote, you have to prove your citizenship. That's what the Arizona... No.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Which sounds reasonable on its face. So this was one of the things that the little Republican think tanks came up with, because this is wildly discriminatory against minority voters. They know it is, and that is the intent of this legislation, is to suppress minority voters. The good news is that it is also a clear and present violation of the National Voter Registration Act.
Excellent.
So, in addition to the Civil Rights Act.
I was hoping we win, but it doesn't go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, where the kangaroos would decide something else.
Oh, I'm sure it'll go through.
But again, this is one of those things, when you first hear it, you kind of halfway think, wait a minute, that doesn't sound stupid. It is stupid. It is intended to suppress minority votes. We know with absolute certainty that that's what it did. We know with absolute certainty that that's why the Republicans recommended it to each other.
Yep.
And we know with absolute certainty that's why Arizona passed it. And we know with absolute certainty that non-citizens voting is an absolute non-issue.
Yep.
So, anyway.
But it's to allow the most credulous people on the face of the earth, the ones who pretend that, my God, I didn't know my party was going to do this, to say, well, you should have that paperwork. Because at some level, it's been sold to the middle-class Republicans that not everyone really should vote. Some people are too dumb to vote. And turns out that's not actually true.
Yep.
And that's vaguely concerning, and I don't think we should fix it, but maybe we should just make smarter people.
Yeah. Might try education. Oh, wait, the Republicans are against.
I'll meet him halfway. I don't think you should write. I think all legislation should be written on the 5th grade level.
Yeah.
Well, if you're looking at who the Republicans are running, I think that's virtually a certainty. So, anyway.
No, because no country has ever failed to be able to hire the intellectual muscle it
Yeah,
needed.
you're right.
They usually hired Americans.
No, but they are suspicious of elites. I think you're going to find them trying to write their own shit. It's certainly obvious in the things they're saying in their campaigns that they do not have professional help.
At that point, I would expect the branding professionals for the money kids to say it's over, and to steal the heart out of the iffy parts of the left, and the indoor parts of the Republicans. No Social Security for anyone born before 1981, things like that. Because if you can take the Gen Zers and the Millennials en masse, you run the table.
Yeah.
And it'd be hard to do, but we've also never had advertising penetration to the rate we do now.
Yeah.
And the money kids on Walmart represent an America worth of money that isn't doing anything, right? There's trillions of dollars sitting offshore.
Yeah.
That if you really convince corporations you're coming for them, they will spend putting fascists in charge. Oh, wait, they are.
Yeah.
Was it
Some of them
DirecTV
are.
gave birth to OAN? It's like DirecTV and
Or
AT&T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever nice things I ever said about AT&T, I take back, and I will never use them again for anything.
Yep.
So fuck them. You are dead to me.
All right. Boomer Rex is about damn time. Tell me the good news.
So you gotta love this one. The leader of a truckers' convoy was arrested
Bye-bye, Santa.
by the District of Columbia Metro Police near the National Mall. So David Santa Riddell, who heads the 1776 Restoration Movement, was wanted on a warrant issued by authorities in Maryland for blocking an interstate on the 4th of July, and he will be extradited to face the state charges.
Yeah.
The group was formerly known as the People's Convoy, and it was a grift then, too. But they held a rally Wednesday on the National Mall as part of their ongoing protests against, again, what have you got?
Yeah.
So,
No, but I think this is an embrace of the devil take the hindmost beyond what we've normally done, right? Good people didn't hang out with megachurch owners because they're universally scum, right? They're in it for the money.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any church anywhere that isn't in it for the money, but these guys had dropped any pretense of pretending otherwise.
oh yeah, no, it was big gallwad.
Yeah, and
just
this is,
like big oil.
but this is pushing, right, little capitalism
yeah,
to metastasize into big capitalism in, right, this guy ripping off all the nitwits who want to use trucks to protest. They were never quite clear on what, but, and it was a dumb line when James Dean gave it, and at least he was pretty.
So anyway, one of his supporters was, oh my, there are a lot of cops here, and Santa Riddell is being arrested, and the rest of the group is mad, and they're yelling at the cops, demanding he be let go. And so a cop from MPD spoke to the group. He said there is a warrant for Riddell's arrest in the state of Maryland for blocking the roadway. And that once the police become aware of that, they are required to arrest him, and he will be extradited to Maryland.
Yeah.
Way to go, DC cops.
Yep.
Cool. So
All right. That's awesome.
I expect he didn't enjoy his meal.
Dumbass of the day.
Oh, let's see. Oh my God, Pompeo. Pompeo is trying so hard to stay something that looks vaguely like electable in the Republican Party. So now he's up to, the 2020 election. He said, did we do it right that day by certifying those electors? Yeah, I think we did, right? And so forth and so on. On the other hand, on January 6th, 2021, State Department leaders were meeting with Capitol attackers. So anyway, no, he was not uninvolved, and that will come out over time and so forth. asked whether he would support Trump were he to become the GOP nominee, Pompeo said he would absolutely, barring something really, really crazy. You mean like crazier than an armed insurrection against the government of the United States of America?
Yeah, real crazy.
Pull your, how much crazier is
Not
there?
this fake news crazy, like real crazy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna wait until they install a king and start issuing letters of marque. Then it's a problem.
Yeah. Oh Christ. Anyway, pull your head out of your fourth point of contact.
And issue
Oh,
me
you
a
wouldn't
letter
know
of
what that
marque
is. What?
and an airship.
Right.
Just give me the money. You don't get to issue me an airship because that means you'll want it back, and we'll have to have a whole thing.
Yeah. Give us the money and a letter of marque.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can come
Cool.
take the, aircraft from us, while we're hunting fucking whatever's. Like,
They're not gonna. They're just gonna send jets. And I mean, I love me an airship and stuff, but I think a jet can get
I'm
it.
not sure. What?
I think the jets can get it done.
I'm not sure
if
they
can
can.
find it.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they can. I think if they fly very fast, very near it, they're going to rip the living shit out of it.
Maybe.
If not, I think there's going to be a small thing underneath where all the people and important shit is, and that is going to respond negatively to whatever millimeter cannon it
Guns.
is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and me naked hanging out the thing shooting flare guns at him is probably going to help. Note to self, don't shoot the flare gun.
Well, we'll get some of that new,
Barnabas, get the spear gun. Aiden's eight
invisible fabric or whatever to put on it. It's fine. It'll blend in with the surroundings.
Yeah, something that sticks to rotor blades. Anyway.
All right, a great alternative to Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Literally anyone?
No.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene revealed to Alex Jones that running for president was, not something that I don't consider. So, first of all, the worst example of a double negative ever created. During an interview on Wednesday, conspiracy theorist Alex Jones pushed the Georgia lawmaker to launch a 2024 campaign.
Do it.
I think you'd poll better and be a better candidate than DeSantis or
It would
Trump.
fuck up the Democrats.
I'd rather go ahead and back you for president. You're way smarter. So anyway,
That's a pretty low bar.
That
That's a
would
pretty
tangle the
fucking low
left
bar.
wildly worse than people imagine.
so anyway, he says, I'm serious. We need to think about MTG for president. I mean, get the New World Order off my back. Stop the drag queen story time. He was fucking with her.
Yeah.
So anyway, who wouldn't? If you had the opportunity to play games with Marjorie Taylor Greene's head, would you not?
Well, and Alex Jones is good at getting in on the ground floor of things.
I
think he was fucking with her.
I don't think he was. I'll have to listen to it, but I know enough about Alex Jones at this point that I can say that
I think he doesn't-
is not smart enough to think about. He's been played by players. I've listened to people who he thinks he's as good as or better than fucking guide him in a direction they want
Roger
him
Stone,
to
Justin.
go.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, this is not something that he could fake. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's all in on stuff. If he says something, he's all about it. He truly believes it. I don't think he was fucking with her. I think he was being honest.
I think he knows he doesn't have any foot in any door near DeSantis.
Sure.
Right, DeSantis knows he has to thread the needle to keep the money kids on board because the money kids are the only ones who can leave that coalition.
Mm-hmm.
Right, the militia, the Nazis, and the Godfatherers are fucked.
Yeah.
Because the Democrats certainly aren't going to take them as any part of a winning coalition.
Oh.
Right, the Democrats are targeting the Republicans who don't want to, see the race war happen or whatever the fuck it is the lost Republicans are always on about.
And let's remember that Trump just, kind of, Alex Jones, I think, might be a little peeved with Trump because Alex Jones thought he was getting a scoop
Roger
from Roger Stone
Yep.
about Trump, running for election on the 4th.
That's insane that he didn't.
And he was all in and was like, yes, this is an exclusive and I'm all about it, blah, blah, blah. So when that fell through and that didn't happen, I think having Marjorie Taylor Greene on his show, he was like, oh, you know, you'll be great. You should run.
So Alex Jones is punishing Trump. by
No way to
supporting-
get over the last one by
I
getting
don't
under
think
the
so.
next one.
Yeah.
No, I think it was more he was trying to, if she does win and I back her and I encourage her,
Exactly.
I'm going to be on the
Well,
end this time.
As I said, he's got no inroads with DeSantis' people.
Nope.
Right?
They'll
They're going to
just
go to
laugh
Joe
and-
Rogan.
and
They're going to
laugh
go
around the room,
to
yeah.
places that actually drive things.
Yeah.
You know?
Alex Jones is who you go on if you don't have.
Well, or he's just looking for the next grift.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, and a lot of this, it should be said every time we discuss this. The Nigerian prince letters are intentionally written poorly because they want the dumbest of the dumb.
yeah, true.
And I think there may be an element of that in this.
Yeah, I
That-
love it.
Right, the people who believe in the Jewish space lasers.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, Alex Jones set his shop up in a weird place because unlike everyone else, he usually sets it up at one end of the line or the other.
Uh-huh.
He's kind of in the middle on the path to radicalization. Right, he's not where most people end up, but most people have a phase where, yeah, they go through that because it's omnidirectional distrust of that.
So he's a gatekeeper.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a way station to it because if you can't handle the inconsistencies in Alex Jones, nothing further down that path is going to be palatable.
Yeah.
Right.
So it turns out the Taliban have found the ideal representation of the contributions that the Taliban has made to civilization. So we have to remember who the Taliban are. These are the goat fuckers that blew up statues of Buddha from the 6th century. And they're now trying to get people to visit the site. They're trying to restore it as a tourist site, and they can come and look at the destruction and so forth. But the Taliban have found their new totem. They went and dug up the vehicle, the Toyota Corolla, in which Mullah Omar, quote, escaped the U.S. military. I tried to verify it, but my recollection is that he escaped the U.S. military in that Toyota Corolla wearing women's clothing, which would be perfect for Mullah Omar. Anyway, so this car belongs to our late departed supreme leader, and it will be moved to a museum. Anas Haqqani, the Taliban leader, urged on Twitter for the vehicle to be placed in the National Museum of Afghanistan in Kabul.
It's like a terrorist Indiana Jones. It belongs in a museum.
Again, it's the perfect representation of everything the Taliban has done for civilization.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's a vehicle that's not made in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
It's a vehicle their fearless leader rode in women's clothes to escape a superior army.
And there's
And now
nothing
they're gonna
wrong
put
with
it in the museum.
being in women's clothes as a disguise. I'm really sick of everybody being like, they were in women's clothes, they must be trans, they must be weird, they must be whatever. They were escaping. And the easiest way to escape is if people are looking for A, you make yourself B. If people are looking for B, you make yourself A. There's nothing wrong with a guy dressing up as a girl or a girl dressing up as a guy to escape things. And I'm really getting annoyed with this.
Unless his religion would consider it to be a failure of his manhood, which
I
they
don't
do.
care.
Again, I'm only
That's his
concerned
opinion
about...
and his people's opinion.
Absolutely,
I
that's
have
the
no
only one
problem
I'm
using-
concerned about.
No, exactly. I got no problem using his culture's biases against
Him. Yep. So anyway, having blown up the Buddha statues from the 6th century, the Taliban has contributed a dusty, old, used car made in a different country.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, and I apologize for getting snippy, but
No.
This is the second time today that I've heard somebody be shitty about a dude dressing up as a guy to escape, because supposedly the guy who did the parade shooting dressed up as a woman to, slip into the crowd and escape. Supposedly. There's a photo. I don't know if it's him or not. I have no idea. But anyway, that's the new story. And
It seemed to be missing some of the tattoos in a way that I'm sure you could cover it up with makeup.
Oh, a little bit of cover up, and it's gone. You can get rid of those easily.
We should explain to Risen that we had decided not to coach
Yeah.
killers. So
Down that path lies answers to other questions.
yes,
But we can talk about it after the show. Totally agree.
yes, absolutely.
Just maybe not in public.
Let us not teach the other team.
Exactly.
AOC
Okay.
pushing Pelosi.
Oh. So now that Roe v. Wade's been nullified, and along with reproductive rights that it enshrined for women,
The most predictable thing ever.
yes, and something that Nancy Pelosi and so on helped make happen.
Hey man,
By
she
their-
stood hard against it. She read a poem and everything. What
I
more do you
know.
expect her to do?
Wow.
Oh, and she joined the idiots who went outside and sang on the Capitol steps.
Yeah, because singing.
Thanks for
Instead
fixing
of
it.
being inside passing laws to stop this.
Oh, come on now. Then people like first
Passing
off,
laws is so hard.
the problem is
It's
right
almost
now
like it's our
everyone who
job
wants
or
to cover the
something.
news
Who
has a
does
memory
that?
about 4 seconds long.
Yeah.
They're trying to attribute the triangulation to Rahm Emanuel now, of inviting in conservative Democrats to run in districts we don't have a chance in if we run someone who is easily painted with the Pelosi brush.
Yeah.
And no, we did that in the 90s as well. Like, the Democrats cannot wait to dilute the party away from the left.
So anyway, the progressives are increasingly pressuring Democratic Party leaders to throw away the old playbook because clearly it's not working, Nancy, baby.
Things have been getting great.
And I
since the
realized you made a
70s.
lot of money in the stock market. Was that insider trading? I don't remember. You were really worried
I don't know,
about
the
that.
average return of 24% or whatever it was the study
No.
found. That's a really good return on investment.
So anyway, the progressives have about had it.
Yeah, no, we're going to
Democratic
do 2010
Party-
again.
Despite the fact that the Roe decision was leaked a month before any action was taken, the Democratic Party leaders continued to support anti-abortion incumbent in Texas, et
Yep.
cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Of course.
They sat on their fucking hands and watched
No.
it
And
fall
they haven't
down.
put forward.
They supported people who supported this.
Yeah.
If they had done nothing, right? If they had done what Democrats always do, I'd be fine with it. Right? If they had stumbled in their little ineffectual circle, but they didn't. They ran quite competently in Texas. He got support from every named Democrat. Right? Steny Hoyer was there. Clyburn was there. It's the list.
She said this is why isolation from the caucus and targeting from the leadership, all that stuff is worth it. Because this isn't about the Democratic Party of today. It's about the Democratic Party of tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. And we really need to start reassessing how big our tent actually is.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're not a Democrat, you shouldn't be running on my party's ticket.
Well, and
Yes.
one of the things we have not discussed at any level at any group of people is we were discussing on the drive back from town. Gold is a great way to transport money and stuff throughout history.
Yes.
If you had another society you could run to.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I don't think capitalism has adjusted for anymore, is that's probably not the case now.
Yeah.
Right? Or at least not, right? It's collapsed plenty of small countries for fun and profit. But my concern is it would be incredibly easy to disillusion enough young voters
Yeah.
to let it plug along and get worse at whatever predictable, amortizable rate. And cool, but I think that's not actually going to be what happens. I think we're going to hit the wheels fall off a lot worse than they seem to be moving towards. Right, that their
Yep.
responses to this don't appear to take into account anything, any of the disintegrations we saw in the 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
Of how rapid that was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of rich folks donating to the Republican Party who don't understand that if this falls down, your money's not leaving with you.
Yeah. Like, even if it does, sure, bring your 3 dump trucks and you can rent in a place for a week. What was the Russian dinar worth after the invasion?
Yeah.
And the new government's going to say, hey, that's not our money. I have no idea who this Federal Reserve chap you're talking about is. Is he some part of a government? Not one here. Former tenant left no forwarding address.
All right.
All
So,
right.
Go ahead.
may be a step in the right direction.
So, I love the phraseology. Senate Democrats, including serial obstructionist Manchin, have reportedly reached a deal on a plan to allow Medicare to negotiate prices on a small subset of prescriptions. Okay. They're talking about things like don't let them raise the price of 800 prescriptions over 5% a year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Over the past several weeks,
story goes.
Schumer and Manchin have been engaged in talks to revive certain portions of the Build Back Better, right? And so, here's actually one that's wildly popular on both sides of the political spectrum that the Republicans are almost certain to vote against in large numbers. So anyway, it has wonderful things like out-of-pocket prescription costs will be capped at $2,000 a year, and they'll penalize drug companies that raise prices at a rate faster than inflation, and they will allow Medicare to negotiate and, if applicable, renegotiate maximum fair prices for a limited number of costly drugs. So there are two possibilities. One, this is a real effort to help folks, right? And it's possible that Manchin actually believes in that. West Virginia has a pretty old population, right? So this would actually help. But the other possibility is that this is just a way of
Running out the clock.
it's a way of extracting some extra cash from the pharmaceutical industry to vote against it, and make sure that it fails.
Keep them from giving money to your opponent.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see how this turns out. It's a good idea. It's something we should do, and we'll see whether or not the Democratic Party and Joe Manchin, who is not part of the Democratic Party, managed to get any part of this done, because the Democrats have been pretty fucking ineffectual. So anyway, we shall see.
Oh my goodness.
I feel like one way to describe the entire political system in America right now would just be a bar full of drunks of various kinds. That is the political system. And there's no bouncing.
Oh, there
Yes,
are
but
bouncers. The problem is the wrong
drunk
people.
too.
The problem is the wrong people have the bouncers.
We're signing up for the bouncers. Maybe we should fix that while we're at it.
Yeah. People have to want that job before you get to be all picky and shit.
Yeah, I understand. No, but that room full of drunks is also utterly dependent on some people who own them.
Yep.
For their continued ability to stay in the bar and drink.
$10,000 a week.
Yeah.
Being the bouncers and the bartender, continuing to give them alcohol.
Right. So anyway, no, what we have is an oligarchy.
Yep, have had since 2014.
Yep.
At least if you define that as only the
we've been
things
moving
that benefit.
toward that since 1940.
Yeah.
So again.
Oh yeah, no, that's the rockets and the middle class. Those are the two things that Nazis invented in America.
Yep. Again, return to the tax system that Ronald Reagan inherited, and America will have more money than it knows what to do with.
No.
Because it'll actually tax the rich. Oh my God, what an
What an idea.
un-American
Fuck all that
thought.
shit, man. Look, as long as they want to go back to fucking black and white television years, we're doing that tax bracket.
Yes, 90%. I love it.
What an idea.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's why
All
fucking
about
Beaver
it.
got to go and whatever. And
while we're at it, we might want to go after some of the money that didn't get taxed away and has been stored away in vast mountains of wealth, which are doing nothing for America.
well, and the
Except
first
for
thing I
sitting
would
there
do,
and rotting.
sure, we should do that legislatively 1 year, like to the day after we tell the CIA their new graduation prank is draining those accounts where they
Yep.
can, of which they may keep up to 10%.
There you go.
With no questions asked about, look, yeah, we'll eventually have to do some church hearings about this, but I think you're going to get the CIA to go and get a bunch of shit out of the Caymans first.
Yep.
And none of that whole problem of the cocaine getting in Nicaragua somehow.
I think they'll have a field day with that,
Yeah.
too. or a couple.
Well, that's the problem for a lot of this is the criminals banking side has the same problem that drug dealing does. Almost all of it is based on knowing the person you're talking to.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You probably can't fake your way through any you probably fake your way through a first meeting with somebody, but like 75th meeting is going to be hard.
Yeah.
But the bank doesn't know them that well.
Right.
Right? The bank just knows they were introduced by whoever.
Yep.
So, steal their money. Come on, CIA. Do something. Because you're going to get slapped every time you, like, fall
And the
asleep.
bank has computers, which we're supposed to be able to
I heard we're good
do
at those.
something with. Yeah. Well, they keep telling us that. So, cool.
All right. Updates with BoomerRex health threats.
Yeah, we hadn't talked about monkeypox in a while. One of the reasons monkeypox is spreading as readily as it is that this particular flavor of the virus, in a lot of cases, does not cause the standard symptoms for monkeypox, right? So they have no fatigue, they've got no fever, any of the things that would normally cue the medical community to go looking for an infection.
Well, and especially right now, where this is the only time in like recent history where I think Americans are even vaguely on the ball on if I feel like I have more than the sniffles,
I
might
might
tell
go
somebody.
ask. Yeah. So anyway, that's all. And we'll see how it continues to spread. They've released a bunch of monkeypox vaccine for endangered groups. And if they're smart, they'll make use of it.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Climate weirding.
Okay. So we've been talking about Australia's what?
He said again. I said always.
Yeah.
It's
that's a nightly.
And it's about getting climate weirding out because both sides have entrenched so poorly around climate change or various other phraseology that doesn't encompass the fact that it doesn't matter that these things are happening. It's that we are losing our ability to predict what will happen.
Correct.
Which allows,
And
basic shit like agriculture to exist.
Well, so you had big swaths of the U.S. that had specialized in certain crops because they got rain early in the growing season and did not get rain when harvest time came.
Ooh.
Right? You cannot harvest wet wheat.
We allowed specialization and the first kids in whatever generations to go to college and all that because agriculture was easy.
Yeah.
If that's not true,
Yeah.
they won't be
Well,
going to college.
what's going to happen is that those regions that were good for wheat may disappear completely. They could just move, right? And so now you have towns and cities and so forth that are already there and are not going to be happy when you come in with your machinery.
Well, they're going to dry up and blow away. Right. The towns where it used to be are going to dry up and blow away the same way the other ones did when the highway left.
Yeah.
But no, I think if we fuck this up bad enough, we could collapse the concept of mass agriculture.
Yeah. At least temporarily. And that's going to be bad enough because we're not going to get through that happily.
I think Americans are distrusting at a level that if you fuck that basic thing up, it'll be a while before you get them to come back. Because but it puts them in a position to do about 12 other incredibly profitable things. If they're growing their own grain, you know what I absolutely know they're making behind some building?
Yeah.
Grain alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing you want is to re-agriculturalize the American working age bracket.
Yep. So anyway, we've been talking about how much rain Australia had gotten.
Yes.
And it was getting a lot of attention because guess what? It was in Sydney.
Yeah.
So we're talking like a meter of rain in a 24-hour period and so on. This is just ridiculous.
I'm waiting to see how my little pet Australians do.
Okay, so there are several fairly standard climatological things that were going on, one of which was La Nina, right? These tend to increase rainfall in Australia. There was another one, circulation in the Indian Ocean, et cetera, et cetera. But what was different was the extraordinarily warm waters off the Australian coast. So we're talking 70 to 73 degrees Fahrenheit for the ocean.
That's bathwater.
Which is, that's bath water. So all that extra energy and all that extra moisture was sitting there waiting for a weather system to come along and make use of it. Same thing we've got going in the Gulf, right?
Oh yeah.
Is you have this huge pool of very, very warm water that's just waiting for a hurricane,
Oh yeah.
right? So, and yeah, all that extra energy and all that extra moisture. But anyway, that's what happened to Australia,
Makes sense.
right? Is that they had a climatological change that interacted with the long-term climatology and did something extraordinarily bad for some parts of Australia. So anyway, EHA.
All right. Asshole, you wanted to mention something about something Arby's.
Ah, yes. Because I do hate fucking parody accounts. I hate Twitter. Like, you all should do whatever Risen tells you to do with your Twitters, but...
Go to @BoomerRexTonight and follow us. That's what you should do.
Yeah. Also, if you get a time machine, go and uninvent it. But...
Or uninvent the inventor.
however you want to do it. I believe in you. So, Nihilist Arby's, their 4th of July post was, this 4th of July, we salute the fat drunk dads and their embarrassing wives that still cling to the dead dream that that's America and the corporate colonialism that has finally become the only thing that holds this corpse of a country together. Have an Independence Day from Arby's.
Yeah. That is so sadly accurate.
Yeah. We're going to consume our way out of this. It'll be fine.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, with what money?
Nice. In
Well, there's plenty of
2001,
money. It's
it was
just
credit
in a
card debt.
handful of accounts.
Yeah.
So
It's in a handful of the people who aren't using it.
In 2001,
So
it
yeah,
was done
with-
with credit
well,
card
except
debt.
to go to Mars and do some other vanity shit like that.
Ain't nobody
Yeah.
going to
So,
Mars.
ain't nobody going to Mars.
All right. Now I have a hot take from Facebook.
Cool.
So this will be interesting. So Scott Adams posted on a subreddit. Now, Scott Adams, for those of you who don't know, is the guy who writes the Dilbert cartoons.
Oh,
Okay.
shit.
All right. So he says,
He went weird.
when a young male, let's say 14 to 19, is a danger to himself and others, society gives the supporting family two options. One, watch people die, or two, kill your own son. So those are your options. Those are your only options, he says. I chose number one and watched my stepson die. I was relieved he took no one else with him. If you think there is a third choice in which your wisdom and tough love, along with government services, fixes that broken young man, you are living in a delusion. There are no other options. You have to either murder your own son or watch him die and maybe kill others. If one more person hallucinates to me about some quote-unquote program where teens are kidnapped and quote-unquote fixed and returned to their happy parents, I might explode. No such thing exists. You have two options, only two. No help is coming, only death and suffering.
So, on that note, on the third option he referenced, in the 20th century, America
He referenced
actually,
the fact that there was no third option, but continue.
the thing he said wasn't a thing. Definitely happened and it didn't work. There was a whole bunch of quote-unquote re-education camps that would take in troubled kids
Oh, yeah.
and do
But
any
no
number
one-
of horrible things to them. The parents would unknowingly, legally sign off ownership of their kids
Yep.
to these organizations.
They would
effectively
abuse
allowing-
them and make the problem worse.
Yeah.
Exactly. Abuse them, make the problem worse, and a whole bunch of other things.
Well, best case, they were just a grift, right? All they wanted was the money, right?
Yeah.
So they ran some shit program for the kids and
But then there's the
charged
rest
the
of 'em.
parents lots of money and so forth.
Yeah.
Worst case, they form a cult, which has happened a couple of times in the 20th century.
Hey.
And the middle ground was they abused them sexually, mentally, physically. So
And killed.
But no, this is, like I said, a hot take. Just very interesting. And no, he's not wrong. And this is what we keep pushing
About
on this. Yes, specifically. This is what we keep pushing about the lack of a healthcare system here in America means there's also a lack of very serious mental health.
Yeah.
So there are no other options. There really aren't, and he's not joking, and he's not wrong.
Nope.
So this is just another thing that people need to think about, and I'm sure this was in reference to the kid that, shot up the parade.
Take your pick. They all fit the age group he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. These are all the. Normally, I'd categorize them as non-ideological. I mean, there's an ideology around them, but
Yep.
they haven't internalized. They haven't composed their life around anything. They aren't committed to an ideology the way your 35 to 55-year-old militia type.
Right, but it was just,
Yeah.
like I said, it was just a Facebook post that somebody shared in a
Well,
group.
and for anybody who thinks that the criminal justice system has an answer for this, right? Recognize that with very few glorious exceptions,
Yeah.
the criminal justice system in the United States is designed to pick you up, grind you up, and stuff you in a for-profit prison,
Yep.
and they will be paid for doing that.
Yeah, in an 8
Where
by
your
10 box
calls
with 4
cost-
other people.
Where your calls cost $2 a minute, and the state gets a cut off that, so it's fine, and
Yep.
so forth and so on.
The state gets such a cut off that
Uh-huh.
phone calls take priority over other things like punishments. And
Isn't
various-
that interesting?
Yeah.
Oh, well, so just another way to make some money and
Yeah.
live a grift. And
No, it's,
you can be sure that when they did the selection of the people to provide that service, that some money changed hands under the table to some legislators and so on. This shit has to stop. And Democrats, if you're not at the forefront of stopping
there's
this,
some governors in
when you
Mexico you
get-
could probably still go after.
when you get arrested, tried, convicted, sentenced, and imprisoned
And your
for
party
what you
outlawed.
have done, and your party outlawed, I will find that amusing.
Yep.
So get your heads out of your ass, starting with you, Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, God, yeah. All right, so here's another...
It's weird agreeing with the Dilbert guy. I'm sorry. I tried to hold this in, but it was fucking up my whole argument about the whole thing. Is he went so batshit crazy earlier on that once I knew that's who it was, that's all I could hear was all the other. And I agree with all the other things we said. I just
Yeah.
it was
No, he
boiling
went
over in the
through-
back of my head.
Fair.
He went through an unspeakably awful experience.
Yes.
Okay.
His statements put him on the line of good, fuck him and every other person. He is a beautiful and unique snowflake, just like everyone else. Like,
No,
I'm
but
sorry
saying-
his mosaic of pain weighs awkwardly. They all do.
No, but he's talking about it,
Yes.
and he's talking about it in a way that,
Because one
Makes
thing
sense.
affected him.
yes.
The thing that pisses me off about that is he's not going to stay in that place of understanding. He's not going to use that to fill in the holes of other things he couldn't understand and has no experience with. He's just going to go with the shortest fucking answer to I feel good about my outcome.
Okay.
That's what I don't like about it. So thank you for pulling the longer explanation out. Sorry, I will be
No, you're
quiet
fine.
now.
I just want to slip in something that I personally consider kind of funny before we get back into some serious shit. I have an article from the New York Post, nypost.com. So it says, satanic, quote unquote, Georgia Guidestones partially destroyed in early morning bombing. It was written by Catherine Dunleavy. So, a Georgia monument that is referred to as the American Stonehenge and believed by some to be satanic was partially destroyed in a bombing attack Wednesday, officials say. The explosive device went off around 4 a.m. near the Georgia Guidestone,
Yep.
a site about 7 miles north of Elberton, and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation said the sheriff personnel responded to the scene to discover a large portion of the monument had been obliterated. Photos show one of the 4 stone panels of the 42-year-old monument had been blown off.
Yeah.
The 19-foot high Georgia Guidestones were erected in 1980 and have been a source of mystery ever since. It was commissioned by an unknown person or group under the name R.C. Christian. The structure, which is a historical monument, displays a 10-part message espousing the conservation of mankind and future generations in 8 modern languages: English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, and Russian, and 4 ancient languages: Babylonian, Classical Greek, Sanskrit, and Ancient Egyptian. The Guidestones also serve as an astronomical calendar. The guidelines, which also call for keeping world population at about 500 million or below, have been heavily scrutinized by conspiracy theorists. Former Georgia gubernatorial Republican candidate Candace Taylor claimed the Guidestones are satanic and made demolishing them part of her platform. This gets me. God is God all by himself. He can do anything he wants to do.
Can he make a rock so big he can't pick it up?
That includes striking down satanic Guidestones, Taylor tweeted a few hours after the bombing. Over the years, the Guidestones have created lots of discussion and brought visitors to Elbert County from all over the world, the Elbert Chamber of Commerce wrote on Facebook. Whatever your personal opinion on the Guidestone is, this attack is bad for our community. We hope that whomever is responsible is apprehended and brought to justice. The monument has previously been attacked by vandals. So they're looking into it. But so this is all over the crazy right-wingers. Like, they're posting about it, they're yelling about it, like this. Again, like, thank God these people are so fucking dumb and they literally only managed to blow up one stone. Like, how bad are you that you cannot even properly explode a fucking monument?
And use my amazing arsenic powers.
No one was there to stop you. You had all the time in the world to properly set up these explosives, and you failed.
Yeah.
You suck. Whoever did this, I am laughing at you. You suck so bad. So bad.
It's
Oh
a
my
fucking
God.
stone.
Oh yeah.
Well, and
It's
the
not
little,
like it was running away. Like,
and the little airhead who was. Go ahead.
Like, alright. I can kind of understand why people would consider it satanic, because everything is some degree of satanic if it's not in the middle of a fucking church. But at the same time, it's a fucking rock! If you're gonna fail at demolishing a rock, you might as well have just taken a fucking sledgehammer to it. No one would have fucking noticed if you did it at the right time. Would be more efficient,
no.
probably.
There's video of the whole thing, but so no. I think if somebody was
Then they've
actually
got a
there
car
with
they want.
a sledgehammer or something, I think whatever. But the point is that you had explosives, and you
Well,
failed.
apparently not very much.
Oh my
So.
God!
Still, you could have gotten 2 of the stone. Anyway. No, I'm gonna use my amazing, like, asshole, like, psychic powers to say sometime around September 7th, there'll be a break in this case. Because that'll be when it gets 60 days and they don't need a warrant to go through your Facebook messages.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that's why having Facebook handle your SMS messages is probably fucking
Probably
matic.
dumb. Yeah. So, are we coaching again? Can we stop?
No, that's not coaching. Coaching is telling them.
Yeah. It turns out the little airhead who was talking about Galwood can do anything he wants to. She has not yet conceded her primary defeat by more than 70
Oh my
points.
God!
Yeah.
This is that big.
Well, and again,
oh my God!
she's
that's
another
fucking
one of
funny.
those.
Micro rally.
Yeah.
She's another one of those. Hide her hair color, put her face next to Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert. And they're all these completely empty little shells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am more concerned about the factory that builds those than I am about the bad models hitting the floor.
Yeah.
Like, These humans were passed along by everyone. Many of them hold college degrees.
Yeah.
But no, I found this absolutely hysterical that, once again, these idiots have tried to do something and failed. I mean,
That's true,
I feel like these people are like firing blanks in real life,
That
right?
is
Like they're trying to jerk off and it's just not working.
God, you could hope they're firing.
Have
You're
to
gonna say that,
start
you gotta
the-
say it's like they're trying to jerk off, but they're on antidepressants. But
I
Joke
point
for the
out
kids on
that even
antidepressants
the
there.
Taliban
I see you.
managed to erase the statues of Buddha.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no, that is the thing, to steal a line that I have always been just staggered by, is the overwhelming pointlessness of terrorism.
Yeah.
Right? That it almost never achieves any goal.
Yeah.
Certainly none of the ones it sets out to.
Yep.
And
But
again,
to some extent, it's not supposed to, right? That it's supposed to be, it's a trap, right? It's a pretend route to doing something that harnesses the human inability to tell the difference between motion and, like, effectiveness.
Yeah.
But again, this is like, of all the things that they could have tried to blow up or whatever, they decided to go after this nameless, know-nothing guidestone that now, guess what?
Oh, no.
Everybody in America knows about it
All
now.
the
and
crazies know about
everybody's
it.
talking about it.
I'm willing to bet if he ran back bombing,
It's only 50 years old. It's not even like it's been around for that long.
you could
Fucking
probably-
copy an existing one.
look and see who was talking about guidestones recently
Yeah.
and really quickly rattle this down to,
Yeah.
because the
Well, it had to be
demographics
somebody
of
who
all
lived
group.
nearby, somebody who,
Yeah, I apply all of that. Once you find out which flavor of radio idiot they've been listening to, those demographics will narrow this down faster than anything else
Yep.
we apply.
But again, it's clear they're working up to churches and mosques and stuff. So
Well,
anyway,
Well, we'll see. I'll give them credit where credit's due if they ever fucking actually do that. I don't think they have the fucking stones.
they'll go after Catholic churches.
Yeah. Well, I think they're more
Maybe.
likely to go after abortion clinics before.
Oh, I
anything
absolutely.
else.
They'll
Yeah.
go. No, but it's any religion beside mainline. Well, their chosen
besides
flavor.
commercial Christianity.
Protestantism.
Yeah, commercial Christianity.
Yes, but it's. We know which group it is. Like,
Yes.
it's the Protestants doing it.
All right. So real quick, I also want to discuss Jerome Davison. His name is weird because I want to say Jerome Davidson, but it's not. It's Jerome Davison.
Or it
So
was misspelled.
no. This is everywhere I found it. This was his
Okay.
Wikipedia. It spelled this
Okay.
way. So this is the appropriate spelling of it. But anyway, so he is an Arizona Republican candidate. So I have an article here from ArizonaCentral.com. And it says Arizona Republican candidate ad says AR-15 needed to fight against Democrats in Klan hoods. Yeah, because so many Democrats wear Klan hoods, like just everywhere. It's just
someone
our
lock you in a
favorite.
time
They're
machine, bro?
comfortable. They
Yeah.
keep you cool in the summer and warm in the winter. It's just it's the best. It's
That's
the new
60 years
latest
behind
fad.
the times.
Jesus fuck my life. So anyway.
I think they literally looked up the history of the KKK and looked at like the early part of the Wikipedia page.
This is an
and then left
old
it there.
attack line.
Oh yeah, no, this is used all the time by the Republicans.
Anyway.
So the Klan were Democrats.
So what I want you all to do is I
Word.
want you all to go on Google, okay? And I want you to Google Jerome Davidson, ad, okay? And I want you to watch this fucking video. So remember we were talking about Dum Dum that did the rhino hunting video? So this is aggressively like that, only,
Yep.
a lot more racist.
Yeah. I got no problem if you shoot Klansmen. They show up on your property. They should be. If they show up at your property at night, they should be found there in the morning.
Right. So anyway, so he says, Democrats like to say, no one needs an AR-15 for self-defense, that no one could possibly need all 30 rounds. And so this is him standing in his front yard, supposedly, or whatever, and a bunch of dudes in Klan hoods start walking up to him. And he says, But when this rifle is the only thing standing between your family and a dozen angry Democrats in clan hoods, you just might need that semi-automatic and all 30 rounds. If a dozen people in clan hoods are coming at you, I promise you, you're just if you are there by yourself with 1 AK and 30 rounds, you might take a couple of them with you, but you ain't fucking making it out of that fight, because I promise you, if the KKK shows up at your house, they're not going to be unarmed.
So,
Historically true.
Yep.
This is insane and stupid, and no Democrat is a KKK member. It's just not a thing in the party today.
Probably.
cool.
So, anyway, just stupid, dumb, and not even fucking... Ugh.
And even if they were unarmed, who's to say you would fucking hit all of them?
Alright,
You
hold on.
would reach meat shield territory.
So when I was in high school, we had to do a semester project, and we found a song by I believe it was the Chad Mitchell Trio. Is there a Clavering in your town? Is there a Clavering in your town? If not, then why not have us down? You'll never recognize us. There's a smile upon our face. We're changing all our dirty sheets and cleaning up the place.
Right.
So we were out shooting a video, an 8mm film in those days, with several of our team in Klan outfits. When we looked over our shoulders, and there was a New Mexico state policeman pulling up to the site. And he was black. And he got out of his cruiser. And he walks over.
He just got all his Christmases at once.
I know, with his hand on his pistol. Fortunately, one of the people who was working with us and was in the Klan suit was also black. So when they disrobed, I suppose is the right phrase. So we got to talking to him and wound up using photographs of his cruiser in the movie. We had to take it from an angle where you couldn't read his license plate. So anyway, but he thought it was funny as hell. We played him the song. We told him what we had done with the film and so forth.
nice.
So we had a wonderful time.
This sounds it. Okay.
Somewhere there's a copy of that
Somewhere.
Alright.
with the soundtrack.
Alright. So, fuck all these people and their fucking, ads with AKs and talking about shooting people. You god damn it, you're first on the list. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, or follow reviews. Smash that like button on YouTube. Go to BoomerRexTonight, no spaces on Facebook for fun memes and a link to our Patreon. Give us $1. You can find us on YouTube as BoomerX or check your favorite podcasting service for BoomerRexTonight. We can be found on over a dozen different platforms, including Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Samsung Podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at BRexTonight, and if you Google BoomerRexTonight, no spaces, all links will lead you to us. We will see you back here tomorrow night for more
All right.
BoomerRexTonight.
Good night.
Fun, and then get some sleep this